gotten and made his own way here and making his own way home, so it's nice of him to come. The next one is, cheers. The next one is a friend of mine who was on last time doing a bit of music. This time he's going to do a bit of poetry. Steve, will you come up now?
Hiya. So, took a leaf out of Dougie's book here because I've watched a lot of his Facebook stuff and I love what he does, and like you said, me and him have known each other since we were kids, and I found I tend to write best when I write about stuff that I've done. I can't make it up, it's not my imagination. So whether you like these or you hate them, it all really happened. Everything I'm saying to you, there's no embellishments, everything in these, whether it's good or bad, don't judge me, but it's all absolutely true. And what I want you to picture this first one, it's called Mischief. And imagine a gang of scruffy-assed 10, 11, 12-year-olds running around Middlesbrough Centre, Southfield Road and all that lot. That's what this is about, and I am guilty, I was one of them. Here we go, see what you think. I know growing up, we all made some errors. People called us rascals, but we were absolute terrors. The devil made work for our idle young hands as we hatched ever more diabolical plans. We invented a lark with a lamppost and cotton, stretched across a wall where we'd place some milk bottles. As a victim walks up, the cotton wouldn't be spotted till they reached the lamppost to be gently garroted. The bottles would fall to the pavement below, they'd break with a smash and our victim would shout. They'd turn and they'd duck as if under attack and then look round confused because there's no one about. Now when we were kids, some men still wore trilbies and we misbehaved like we shouldn't have ought to, sitting behind them on a United bus. We'd fill up the top of their hats with water. So when they'd look down to check on the time, water would flow from the hat like a flood, and in the back seat we'd be giggling like girls, laughing a little bit more than we should. Bonfire night was a real money spinner. We raked in the cash because our guys really rocked. The cold night would end down at Waterloo Road to buy sweets and gut rubbish at the old Golden Cock. And Halloween night was a highlight for us. In Borough, trick or treat was not yet invented, but they'd all give us sweets or a couple of bob, and in return they would not be tormented. Sometimes we'd head out on an excursion, catching the bus to Seaton Crew, the amusements, the rides, the beach and the chippy, and the old joke shop that sold plastic dog poo. Because we were kids, we found this hilarious, but the sites we chose were often precarious. In the aisle on the bus home, our sides they would ache, although most of the adults knew it was fake. Later that night, Michael Young says, "Lads here, I've had this rather fantastic idea. Let's put the poo on the handle of the door to the buffs. The reaction should give us a laugh right enough." So true to his word, he put the poo on the handle and we hid down the alley like young ninja vandals. And the very first customer that ventured inside put the poo in his pocket and we laughed till we cried. Now poor Michael Young, he was just not impressed. That poo cost him money. He didn't like the crack. So he shot up the buff steps and caught up to the guy and shouts, "Here mate, can I have me poo back?" Now normal kids, they'd play knock door and run. Nicky knocky eye door, we knew it as in Borough. But we found this quite boring, so developed the prank, and if I say so myself, we were really quite thorough. So a fresh dog turd wrapped up in newspaper, then set on fire to start off the caper. We'd knock on the door and we'd all run and hide to watch some poor resident venture outside. They'd open the door to a fire on the step and they'd stamp out the fire, our gang to outwit. And the fire would go out, but relief was short-lived as they realised the slippers were covered in shit. One day, it gets worse, one day we bought a rubber mouse and a toad from Nelson's the toy shop on Linthorpe Road. And at closing time, we'd all be hid in my house and I tied a long piece of string to the mouse. You have to remember, by now it was dark. They'd make their way home from the pub, past my house. So I'd pull on the cotton under my front door, and they suddenly screaming, "My God, there's a mouse!" Now when one woman screams, then everyone starts. In her ears she can feel the thump of her heart, and she hoists up her skirt and she runs down the road, and at this point we start to reel in the toad. There's more and more screams as panic prevails. They're easy to prank when they're so full of ale. And some bloke shouts out, "The road's full of rats!" But it was just us, the neighbourhood twats. Now I know it sounds like we were terrible kids, but no one was hurt in the fun that we had. There was a fair bit of planning in the things that we did. We were kids of our time, we were lads being lads. And I feel that the kids that are growing up now with Xbox, PlayStation and bedroom TV, they need no invention, no imagination. It's not necessary, but I'd rather be me. Thank you. Every word is true, I'm sad to say. Right, this one, I know there's a lot of ladies in the room tonight, and when I was growing up, it's not a sexist thing, but cars tended to be more for the lads, and I remember all the gang we hung about with. None of the lasses ever bought cars, but the lads. It's a different world now, but that's how it was then. And we were terrible at it. We just bought any old junk if it was shining and bright. So this is one called the 70s Motorist. I hope some of you recognise yourself in this. The 70s Motorist. One of the best things when I was a lad was hanging with mates around motorbike shops. Summer days at Matt Newton's and Armstrong's and Tilston's, trying to pick out the cream of the crop. At 16, I got myself a provisional licence and I went out and bought a Puck Grand Prix. It was a sports moped to rival Yamaha's Fizzy, but the Puck could do 60 on just 50cc. They followed a Yamaha 175, then a beautiful CB 350 Honda. But as much as I love motorcycles in winter, the ice would encourage my tyres to wander. So in 79 I passed my motorbike test and I discovered a loophole the law would allow. On a motorbike licence, you could drive a three-wheeler. So I had to have Reliant Robin now. I still get annoyed when people say Robin Reliant. People who say this upstairs have something missing. Reliant's the maker and Robin's the model. You don't say Corsa Vauxhall or Micra Nissan. Anyway, I ran it for years and it didn't tip over. The red pencil sharpener, my old plastic pig. I gave all my mates lifts home in the rain, but they still all made sure they got in a dig. One day my dad said you have to upgrade it, and he helped me to buy a Vauxhall Chevette. In Wilton Street one night, a drunk student walked over it, and that was an action he came to regret. I traded it in for a Honda Accord, and I just fell in love with cars from Japan. I couldn't understand why British car makers can't nail reliability like the Japanese can. So next up I bought a 3.5 Rover Fastback, advertised by Noel Edmonds, the DJ. He forgot to explain that my new best friend would be the man who drove the RAC relay. I sold it and bought a Datsun 260Z. It did 120 without any fuss. But as much as I loved it and the fun that it gave me, eventually my Datsun was eaten by rust. So I went out and bought a desirable Saab. It was diarrhea brown with a rattling dash. It cost me £1,000, but it got right on my nerves, so I swapped it for a Jag and 500 cash. That Jag was an old XJ 4.2, leather and walnut. I was in love from the start, but it was built in 74 by British Leyland. It turned out to be crap. Some cars break your heart. Now I'm only up to 1986. I've had at least 50 more motors since then. Mercs, Renaults, Mazdas, Toyotas and Audis, and yet 5 more Jags, because I still love them. By far my worst buy was a VW Jetta. Like Christine, I'm sure that car had a curse. On the A66, I ran over a rabbit, and my 3-year-old Jetta came off far the worst. Most of the dealers that I bought these cars from, they might as well have worn a highwayman's mask. MOT, service history, mileage, how many owners, were just some of the questions that I failed to ask. My local garage, they grew quite fond of me. I used Mike McKenna down on Granville Road. He'd set out in detail the jobs that he'd done, and I'd enter another cash flow episode. Times are changing, now there's not as much fun. I remember all my mates in the first cars that they had. In the 70s you started off with a banger, a runner, and you learn how to fix it while still just a lad. Kids today hurdle the theory test, gone are the days of mum and dad's loan. They sign up for a lease on personal finance. The car's brand new, but it's never their own. All of my cars put a smile on my face. The memories it gave me, they made me feel warm inside. We're told that the future's electric or hydrogen based. I suspect they're still going to take us for a ride. Thank you. And the last one, on this little spot or blemish. You might recognise this lad. It's a lad from the borough. It's very typical of many lads from the borough. See what you think. Steve's 33. He was born in the borough. He's proud of the town. It runs in his veins. He's streetwise. He's smart. He's handy and sharp. He can handle himself, but he's also got brains. At primary school, Steve worked out his path. It was there that he learned what the bullies could do. He wouldn't back down and he made his first stand. He said, "Don't start on me, kid, because I'll batter you." From that day forward, he had some respect, and he grew up to have quite a name in the town. Well, you know the borough, no shortage of muppets, and once in a while he has to put someone down. At just 17, he signed up for the Navy, and he did have a girl in every port, But after 4 years, he didn't renew. He's going to settle down. At least that's what he thought. Throughout his 20s, the girls came and went. One gave birth to a daughter that Steve doesn't see. If he split from a girl, well, he still had his mates. He'd get himself out and enjoy being free. He's had several jobs now. He started a business. It's a bit hit and miss, but he's having a go. He's worked out that he has to work for himself. He's not good with bosses, being told where to go. Now, Steve's always enjoyed a pint, but it's never a pint, never two, never three. If he starts, then the sun will be up when he stops. Then he'll crawl up to bed and get up around 3. In Benidorm, Steve met a girl that he fell for. It turned into love, and they moved in together. Then came the kids, first a boy, then a girl. He finds most days hard. He says it'll get better. Now, when he was a kid, Steve had some skill. He had trials for the borough, left footer. He's fast. Now he runs his own team in a good local league. But the speed those lads have, it's all in the past. He does like a bet and the hope that it brings. He's got a new strategy as our Stephen. If it works, then he'll make a bundle this year, but he'll probably lose and tell me he's broke even. Some nights Steve has cold sweats and panic attacks and anxiety that he just can't understand. He puts in the graft, but he's just treading water. How did he get here? It's not what he planned. Steve likes to laugh, has a great sense of humour. He shares a good line in filth with his dad. He has no filter, loves the shock on their faces. Then he'll laugh even more. Hey, it wasn't that bad. But Steve has one thing that he holds above all. His family to Steve, there's nought matters more. Anyone step out of line with his loved ones, he won't waste time with words, and he's snapping your jaw. So there we have Steve. He's just a lad from the borough. He's walking a path that's been trodden before. But I wish him well and all the luck in the world, because Steve is my boy, and I couldn't love him more.